What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and there is some grim news on the horizon for Sundial, but also a potential pump that we could be experiencing later this week. So let's discuss that first of all, right? The first thing that we're going to look at is what's been happening with Sundial over the past couple of days. You can see that we hit our highs of 99.96 cents, bounced down to 80, bounced off of it. Now we've hit 80 twice, or actually 3 times more. Just recently, we hit 80 again and bounced off of it. So we've been bouncing off this 80-cent support level a couple of times. Very cleanly most recently. The past 2 times we actually dipped down below it very briefly. But there is some potential bad news on the horizon for Sundial, all right? People are talking about Sundial being delisted. And what that would mean is that Sundial no longer would trade on the NASDAQ. It would not be accessible via Robinhood. You could only sell your shares if you had shares of Sundial on Robinhood. And that is a real possibility that we have to look at. Now, where this is coming from, there's actually a Forbes article that links to it, but as of May 25th, news that the NASDAQ was threatening to delist Sundial shares unless it could regain compliance with the $1 stock price minimum by November 22nd, 2021 was announced via an SEC filing, which we actually have pulled up right here. And it basically just says that Sundial was notified on May 25th that they must trade above $1 to meet the NASDAQ requirements, right? The NASDAQ has a requirement that all the companies that are trading on it have at least a share price of $1. And there are a couple of ways that they could meet compliance with this, which we're going to talk about. But there is one notable one that I want to point out that could lead to an actual pump in Sundial stock price, right? So they basically have until November 22nd, which is rather close, to make compliance with this. So we're currently on November 16th right here, and November 22nd is when they would be potentially getting delisted right here. So it's not really that far off, right? It's less than a week away, and they don't have much time left to do it. Fortunately, they've never had a better chance at pumping up than they do currently. If you look over the past 90 days, they were sinking for the most part. Now they've actually got a chance at pumping up to $1. And the hope is that they'll be able to do this. Unfortunately, Sundial has been getting killed with shorts, right? It's the short interest change on the day is 2.2%, so that means 2.2% more shorts are coming into Sundial. We currently have 336 million shares short on Sundial stock, and that accounts for 16% of the free float. So shorts are absolutely attempting to demolish Sundial, right? They're ramping up their shorting. They're pushing the stock price down. They really don't want it to rise because they know they could get squeezed if that happens. There are a couple of things that could squeeze them if Sundial gets above $1, which it might. Then there is real potential for a gamma squeeze, which we're going to talk about a bit later, but you can already see there's a ton of open interest call options on Sundial shares. But what could really boost them up in price is actually the news about their share repurchase program. Now, this came out a while ago, this news, but if you actually read it closely, I'll explain why this could be pumping them up very soon, right? They announced that they were going to do the share repurchase program, which we've already discussed on the channel, that they're going to purchase up to 100 million Canadian dollars worth of stock. And they actually mentioned that the share repurchase program will commence on November 19th of 2021 and expire on November 19th of 2022. That means, if you look at the calendar, that the share repurchase program is starting right here. Okay, they have the possibility of buying shares starting November 19th. Very fortunate that it's right before when they need to regain compliance of $1 per share. Okay, so it seems very convenient that Sundial has positioned themselves so that they can start repurchasing up to $100 million worth of stock the trading day before they need to reach compliance and trade at $1 per share. So it's almost as if they were planning for this, and they very well could. It's not a guarantee that they will buy up all of the shares on that day, because if you look, the actual number of shares which may be purchased is subject to the timing and determination of the management of the board. So they do not actually have to buy up any shares on November 19th. They have a whole year to buy up shares at their own discretion, but November 19th is the first day that they could do it. And that's actually right here on the chart. That means they could potentially, depending on how we're trading, if they're very close to $1, they could decide to buy as many shares as is necessary to get them moving up above $1. And it's very fortunate that November 19th is also the expiration date for all of these call options. The November 19th strike date is very important for Sundial because you can see there are 225,000 open interest call options on Sundial at the $1 strike price. And that means that if Sundial ends up buying back their shares and pumping us above $1 on Friday, that these call options would also expire in the money, which would mean that institutions then have to buy up a ton of Sundial shares to pay out to investors in these call options, right? People who are buying these call options are expecting to receive delivery of Sundial shares if these expire in the money, and institutions know that. They've likely sold a lot of these naked. They're not holding Sundial shares. In fact, they are shorting Sundial. If you look at the short interest, it's 16% of the free float. 336 million shares are short. There is no way that institutions are holding a ton of Sundial shares just in case they have to pay them out to Sundial call option investors, right? They are not expecting, especially when they were selling these initially, they were not expecting Sundial to be anywhere near $1. If you looked at the past 90 days before this pump up just a couple of days ago, Sundial was just trending down and down and down, and these call options were likely going to expire worthless. Now we actually have a chance of getting Sundial above $1. The fact that we're holding at 80 cents is very good. The fact that we're stagnating here and that over the next couple of days we might begin to be able to uptrend as people begin to put the pieces together, as some people start buying up shares in expectation that on November 19th, Sundial will be able to do their share repurchase program and actually start purchasing up shares themselves, which I think they really want to do. The other option that they have, instead of purchasing up shares themselves to get back above $1, if they want to remain listed on the NASDAQ, is that they could always do a reverse stock split, and that's essentially when you take 2 shares of the stock. For every share that you own, you take 2 shares of the stock, and you combine them and you double the price. So at these prices, Sundial will be trading at $1.64. If we did the reverse stock split right now, Sundial will be trading at $1.64, and you would basically have the number of shares that you get. So it's the same amount of money in your account, but you would have half the number of shares, and it would be double the price. That's another way that Sundial could maintain compliance, but I think that they would much rather not do that to shareholders, right? Because shareholders do not like when their share counts go down. They would rather see the price of the stock go up. And if Sundial can do a repurchase of their shares and they expect to be doing well in the future, then they very well could just buy back a lot of their shares here, raise their price to above $1, regain compliance with the NASDAQ, and not have to worry about getting delisted or bothering their shareholders with a reverse stock split. So it sounds like a very promising plan, honestly, if they wanted to go ahead and do that. It's not a guarantee that they will, but it is a suspicion that I have that they may begin to start repurchasing shares on November 19th. And they have $100 million worth of money that they could actually repurchase those shares with. So it is quite a bit. They can repurchase up to 100 million shares, 103 million shares, I believe, at the limit. But it looks very promising, and it's good that there is something promising on the horizon for Sundial, because as of late, Sundial has been looking a little bit grim over the past 2 days. We have been sinking, unfortunately, ever since the initial pump up. We've been sinking, even on Google Trends. We've been slowly getting less and less interest in Sundial and Sundial stock. That's what these lines are tracking: SNDL in blue and SNDL stock in red. So unfortunately, fewer people have been looking into them. I would have hoped that this stock would have been continuing to pump up on the gamma squeeze potential, on the short squeeze potential, because both of those catalysts look incredibly compelling, in addition to the fact that Sundial had a great earnings call and that we'll likely see legalization at some point in the next year, is my expectation at least. But you can also see that Sundial has unfortunately been trending down on Reddit as well. You have to scroll down all the way to spot number 17 to see them now. They're down 40% mention-wise over the past 24 hours, so it's not an ideal situation for Sundial as it stands. However, we'll see what we can get going on Friday, when Sundial may actually end up repurchasing their own shares, at least when they have the option to do that. And if they want to maintain compliance in, looking at the calendar, just the next Monday after that, right? They could potentially start repurchasing shares on Friday, and they would then want to do that in advance of Monday, because they don't want to fall out of compliance with the NASDAQ. And, if they do, maybe they'll do a reverse stock split. That's always a possibility, but I would much rather see them repurchase a bunch of shares now, reverse some of that dilution that they've done over the long haul. They have done a lot of dilution. When they were falling down here, they were diluting constantly to stay afloat. Now that they're doing well as a company and making money, I would be happy to see them do a share buyback on Friday, raise Sundial stock price, help save some of the investors who are trapped in this downtrending pattern that we're in right now. Unfortunately, it looks like 80 cents is acting as a key support for us. So hopefully we will maintain that level and not fall below before Friday, because if Sundial gets too low, it might not be enough. The share buyback might not be enough to actually get us above $1. So the hope is that we'll stay above 80 cents and then maybe Sundial can help out and do a share buyback on Friday, but we'll just have to see. So obviously none of this is financial advice. It's just my opinion. I'm just putting some pieces together for you guys. And if you're interested in liking the video, feel free to do that, and subscribing to the channel as well. That would be greatly appreciated. But other than that, guys, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.